Hey guys, Jackdaw here. Today I'm delving into quite an irregular topic, at least for me. As you can probably tell from the thumbnail of this video, I'm taking quite a harsh turn for today's video. I'm doing a sort of establishing the scene kind of feature. You see, we all know we're basically going to Tevinter in Dragon Age 4. That's like the only thing that we can fully say with confidence. Literally. It's that one thing that's been confirmed. Everything else is just up in the air. So we're going to Tevinter. But what exactly is it like? Regarding a setting, what can we actually expect from this slice of Northern Thedas? What are the people like? What about the society, the religion, the politics, all of it? What's up with Tevinter, eh? Well, dear viewer, today I shall be lightening your load regarding Tevinter as a location. Now, this is not primarily a lore video, I'm simply just establishing the scene regarding the Tevinter Imperium, building a better understanding on what it'll be like when we visit the province in Dragon Age 4. I'm just painting a picture of the Imperium so y'all can see how different this locale is contrast to the rest of Thedas. And guys, believe me when I say this, Tevinter is quite vast contrast to the other continents. Gosh, scrap the oil or acrylic paints, I'm painting this picture with blood. Okay, my brush is at the ready, I've got my Bob Ross techniques mastered, we're good to go. So Tevinter, what's the history there, at least briefly? Well, Tevinter Imperium is the oldest extant human nation in Thedas. It's ruled by a powerful magocracy, which is simply a society ruled by wizards. In this case, the leaders of the Imperium are called Magisters and are led by an Imperial Archon. The Archon is just the mage ruler of the Tevinter Imperium. This position is usually inherited, whether through blood relation or apprenticeship of the previous Archon. To further our understanding, we can't really relate this to something contextual because in real life I don't think we really have governments run by magic wielding pointy-hatted blocks. Now correct me if I'm wrong though, because I mean I do only live in a small town in the northeast of England, so heck, anything could be beyond my idyllic town. However, within Tevinter's government, it's all about social class and breeding, having the perfect mage coupling via blood and strength of the parents. They have a huge emphasis on pushing the understanding of magic, further increasing it and only breeding to build the best offspring via compatibility within the parents' genes. Marriage in Tevinter doesn't sound very romantic. As we can tell from Dorian's story as well, arranged marriages kind of seem to be the norm in Tevinter, the general doodah. Now the Magisterium works as a democracy in my eyes. It seems that each member in the Magisterium does have a right to speak and share their opinion on certain things. It's not all governed by the Archon, although you do have to be a mage to be a member of the Magisterium, otherwise you're strung out of society and known as a soperati, which is Tevinter or Tavern for sleeper, basically a derogatory term for someone who is a non-magic user or a basic Tevinter civilian. The entirety of the Magisterium is again devoted to magic. The better you are, the higher you'll be, or the higher you can move throughout the ranks, or the political system. The highest social class is known as the Altruists. These are mages who are known for entering the Fade at any given point. They're dreamers. Many of them were actually hunted and killed, and rumours state that any trace of living dreamers today have returned to the upper echelon of Tevinter society. Now the entire ethos of Tevinter society is just surrounded by magic once more. Magic controls the government, magic controls what's hot in fashion. It's a kind of magic. Tevinter is a place for free magic users. Of course they have circles, but it seems that if you're not a practicing magic user, then you're gonna be frowned upon. Magic is just the way forward. Now of course, the culture of Tevinter is proud and full of hubris. Ambition, prestige, the ruling elite and magical ability are the pillars of society and culture. Officially, blood magic was lawfully banned in the Imperium. However, it's still practiced in private by dreamers and diviners. The ban is really only paid lip service to. Blood magic is so renowned within the culture of Tevinter that only the most devout mages in Tevinter know the basics of it. But again, it still happens, of course. And it all relates back to the fabled 7 Magisters who breached the Golden City, or the Magister Sidriel as their official group title. Now their story is actually considered false and propaganda according to the Magisterium. Most, if not all, records of the 7 have been destroyed, including their very names, eradicating any reputation the Magister's acts may have brought the Tevinter Imperium. Add this fable to the mix and the fact that Tevinter butchered the Maker's bride herself, Andraste, and Tevinter in the past cooked up a really villainous name for themselves. Now Lord Tevinter these days is more soaked up in itself, disregarding the south as a viable place. The Imperium has shifted from its once conquering glory days to now a more ravenous, isolated isolated, war-infested threat as they continually war with the Qunari. It is still legal for elves and humans, and even Qunari again, to be sold into slavery in Tevinter. Uprisings are quite frequent but rarely successful, as are any attempts by Tevinter politicians to abolish the practice. Now, speaking contextually here for a second, the old Tevinter Imperium, back in the day when they liberated all of Thedas, when they were one massive union across the entirety of the continent, they were like the Roman Empire, with their conquering massive lands, their huge armies, and their execution of religious prophets, but then converting to the religion that they actually killed off, but we'll get to that later on. However, the Imperium now, since the conversion to the Chant of Light, is more close to the Byzantine Empire, with them clawing at their old glory, trying to reclaim that, and they're religiously isolated, standing alone against great threats, and their borders are ever so shrinking. Orlais these days are considered to be the greatest empire in Thedas now. Tevinter were the great conquerors, like the Romans in their day, but now you've got Seharan, who are equivalent to the Ottoman Empire, and Ottomans actually warred with the Byzantines, who were a fading power just like the Tevinter Imperium right now. And speaking on religion, the Imperial Chantry is the main religious organisation in Tevinter, believe it or not, replacing the abandoned worship of the old gods, in which they worshipped dragons calling to them from the Fade, like Dumat, who has since been slain in the first Blight. So much for godhood. Now, the Imperial Chantry accuses the old gods, instead of the ancient magisters, of creating the Darkspawn. The conversion of religion came when Archon Hassarian felt the Maker speak to him. You see, whilst Andraste was being burnt at the stake, really happy for, he felt the divine voice of the Maker shift his heart and speak to him, telling him to give Andraste a quicker death. So Hassarian pierced her in the heart with his sword. And 10 years to that day, after Andraste's death, Archon Hassarian converted to the Chant of Light, claiming that he heard the voice of the Maker when his blade touched Andraste. The beginnings of the religion took root in Tevinter, and since then it's been forever changed. And in the Imperium, same-sex relationships between nobles are largely hidden, but nowhere prohibited. These relationships are more encouraged with favoured slaves, and individuals born one gender but who identify as another likewise face no official persecution or legal repercussions, although such individuals living openly amongst the upper class, such as Mervelis Talani, can cause some sort of a scandal. Now, speaking contextually again, so we can relate this to a real life event to get a better understanding of it, Tevinter has been known to steal ancient elven traditions and magic. You just need to bring Solas and Dorian out with you to get a tiny whiff of that. However, regarding religion once more, I said Tevinter was once like the Roman Empire. Now, the old gods relate just like the Roman and the Greek gods overlap, exactly like Tevinter and the elves. The ancient elves relate their gods to animals and constellations, just like Tevinter do with their gods, or I should say did. They seem to overlap each other. Notice I mentioned the elves used constellations, so do Tevinter, as did the Romans. We see one constellation where we match it up in the game, and it's a Tevinter constellation, yet it relates back to one of the elven pantheon gods, who takes shape as an owl. And off the top of my head, I think it's Falondin, but we were told that these were Tevinter constellations, and yet they're relating back to the elven gods. Again, it's like the Roman and the Greek gods and how they overlapped. A huge chunk of the Roman gods were just copied and pasted from the Greek gods, each intertwined into each other, and few knew where the truth actually stood. Inevitably though, until Christianity came into the picture with Jesus Christ, who shook up their beliefs and philosophies. The Romans, having felt Jesus was a false prophet and a liar, killed him via crucifixion. Pontius Pilate was one of the men responsible for his death. After ordering the execution of Jesus, there is a Christian tradition that Pilate and his wife eventually converted to Christianity. Parallels to the Roman gods and biblical narrative relate straight to Tevinter, with both the elven gods and Tevinter gods overlapping each other after the elves suddenly disappeared. Tevinter had made itself nice and comfortable in the corner of Thedas it owned, until Andraste came to Tevinter's doors, fueling a breath of new religion. She brought the Chant of Light, and of course, Hassarian killed her and then converted 10 years later as specified, just like what happened biblically. So it's like how our real world religions have some effect that we can actually relate to, or at least understand more plainly regarding what the heck is going on with Tevinter and religion. Now, the biggest inspiration for Tevinter has always been the Roman Empire, or at least how they were back in the day, as the biggest ruling nation. However, just like the Roman Empire, a lot of Tevinter's traditions and foundations of a ruling empire have since crumbled, and what's left in his place, when contrast to how they were, it's kind of ridiculous. Tevinter has a connotation of nothing good coming from it. It's a blighted place that has caused chaos on Thedas. If anything, we should be keeping far away from it. However, in Dragon Age 4, we're going to be entering the chaos at the front doors, venturing on our quest through this cursed province. If anything, Tevinter as a locale alone should ensure that Dragon Age 4 will be nothing but pure dark fantasy. The amount of horror and terror that is enraptured through the streets of the Imperium should truly vanquish our hearts. We should be immersed into this creepy, shady, almost culty world, in which it is at the beginning of all things wrong to do with Thedas, at least according to the Chant of Light. The experiences of walking through Tevinter's streets should be nothing but horrifying and spooky. You look at the gothic fashion, and even if I saw that during the day, I'd be creeped out. But walking alone at night and stumbling into someone who is dressed like that, gosh darn, I'd be freaked. So my painting has started out as a nice sketch of a distant idyllic land that follows some poignant straight line architecture, but has in fact actually transitioned into a canvas of blood, a swirling black spiral. We should definitely prepare for the worst in Dragon Age 4 regarding Tevinter. Just the entire ethos of Tevinter is bad. It doesn't bode well, and judging by what we've heard in previous games and the lore, the Imperium really isn't a place we want to be loitering in. I mean, it's literally said to be the origin of the Blight according to the Chantry. I'm expecting some crazy things to be going on in Tevinter. There's at least got to be one crazy cult trying to raise a dragon, or we've got to at least stumble upon one original blighted magister. What I'm saying is, there's plenty of room for some jaded, morally grey as fade plot potential. Again, we're literally entering the front doors of all that is said to be evil has come from this place. So we should be enriched with all the dark and chaotic narratives that follow Dragon Age and have done to this point. I'm just super excited and a tiny bit scared to see how creepy Tevinter is going to be. But anyhow guys, that'll do it on the City of Blights, Blood Magic and Darkspawn. Do tell me your thoughts down below. What do you think of Tevinter? How do you feel it will play out? Do you think it will be as dark as it seems, or do you think they are just rumours? That's just what we've been told, that actually Tevinter is a nice light-hearted place where fluffy bunnies and nice unicorns are. What do you think about Tevinter? How excited are you for going to Tevinter? What do you want to see in Tevinter? Any plots or just locations? Do tell me down below. But for all your things BioWare, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Anthem and all that jazz, well, you're already in the right place for that. But until the next one, I have been Jackdaw and I should go.